everybody. Welcome to Fractured Focus, the reaction to Rogue One, a Star Wars story. I'm one of your hosts, Ben Gordon, alongside my brother, the illustrious Dan Gordon.
Hello.
And coming in live from Omaha, Nebraska, the original Chewie himself, Matt Swinehart.
I don't know about all that.
I forgot that was your nickname in college. You remember that?
Yeah.
It didn't even occur to me until tonight. I don't know why that popped in my head, too. But let's go ahead and I tell you what, I want to set some ground rules before we start talking about this. For those of you that are watching this, before we go into spoilers, our full review of this movie and what we thought about it, let's give just a brief, non-spoilery opinion of what we thought about the movie. If your initial thoughts, if you think people should go see this movie, and then we'll go ahead and we'll get into spoiler territory. We'll give you a big warning. We'll just do this with all of our hands to let you know, if you haven't seen this movie, do not watch this, because we're going to talk about a lot of cool shit that we had no idea was coming. Sound good?
Obi-Wan Kenobi kicks a baby.
Well, too late. We already got that one out of the bag. So,
Oh, man.
all right. So, non-spoilery, just overall consensus. What did you guys think of the movie? Should people go see this?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was very impressive, visually very impressive storytelling. It's just what Disney did with this property for this kind of installment was innovative, and it really makes you look forward to kind of seeing what they're going to be doing with the later movies too.
I get so excited for when I think about now. If this is how good the standalone movies are going to be, can you imagine what's going to happen when we get like the Han Solo movie or Boba Fett or whatever comes out? Matt, what'd you think?
Save your money. No. Don't buy your kids Christmas presents and go see this over and over again.
Yeah, I agree with you. I want to go see it again right now. I really feel like this is the Star Wars prequel that we always wanted. This hit every single note, and I can't believe, I didn't expect this, how fluidly it ties right up to episode 4, like right to the minute almost.
Yeah.
But my God, this was good. Yeah, so
Okay.
I think we're all pretty much in agreement.
We're almost getting that.
can't
spoiler
wait.
point.
Well, remember, I didn't say what, entails or anything like that. So, I mean, people know what happens in 4, so I'm not going to consider that a spoiler. If that ruined this for you, sorry, my bad.
Star Wars Titanic. You didn't know how it ended. Sorry.
So we're all in agreement. Everybody needs to go see this movie, pretty much.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Big warning right now. If you have not seen this movie, stop this video right now and go see this first, because we are going to ruin some big things for you, and you need to see. If you are at all a Star Wars fan, you have got to go see this movie. So right now, that's it. Warnings. We're going to give you 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're ruining everything here. We're going full spoilers. What do you guys think?
Jesus. Man. All right, I'm coming out the gate strong. That just the final sequence of Vader in a darkened hallway, just you've got these guys caught in a corridor, and watching it like you not even less than a prayer, because what they've been able to do as far as developing what a Jedi user with the lightsaber can do, both like in later movies after the original trilogy, in the Clone Wars and the comics. You get to see that full bore. This isn't just compared to like A New Hope with the original fight between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, where the stuntman was designing the fight around 2 guys wielding broadsword. This guy, in this one, you see Vader has finesse. He's whipping shit around. He's and he's integrating deflecting blasts with lifting guys up, throwing them against the wall, disarming people. I mean, he's just like a force of nature ripping through there, and you're seeing the guy caught at the door. He's fucked. He's fucking bad.
This is the Vader in action we've never really gotten to see in live action before, that we've always wanted. And I didn't expect it. I didn't think we were going to get that.
There was just like some raw cruelty in him barreling through that corridor, and just kind of seeing that, even though I know I said before that I really did. I wanted him to make just the minimum appearance at best in this movie, but
man,
that
when
was
he
the
did,
way to do it. You can really see Vader being what everyone understands him to be, as just this juggernaut. And oh my gosh, that was.
No, I want to go watch this again.
Incredible. That was incredible. But I mean, I've got others, but let's kind of go around here. And,
well, I tell you what. Why don't we do this? Number one, if there's a big highlight point that you want to, what was your favorite part of the movie? We'll start there, and then we'll kind of go somewhat chronologically through the movie. What do you think?
If I have to pick a favorite,
Yeah.
I mean, I love the whole thing. I really did.
Okay.
Now, the highlight for me was early in the movie. So, Alan Turk, you know who that is?
Yeah. Isn't it Tudyk?
Okay. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So he voiced the robot, the Imperial robot,
K2SO.
right? Seeing him in the seat flying, just like it was like Fireflies,
He
like
belongs
washed
there.
back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And then kind of going back, like I kept catching those similarities between like iRobot and stuff like that. I just thought his performance was phenomenal.
That way, it was so original.
Yeah.
I can't believe that they came up with another original idea. And how funny was he? We were laughing in the car the whole way home.
Yeah.
What was what he said when he hit him and goes?
Yeah, when essentially he's got the storm. It's that whole firefight on Jeddah, and then like the three of them, Jin and Cassian and K2, like they're trying to get away, and they get caught by the stormtroopers. So they're trying to pass it off as like K2 is essentially the prison guard. And he's fumbling miserably, just trying to come up with an excuse. And then when Case tries to speak up, you just see him like throw out the the pimp smack, and like that's enough. What did he say? I guess
What did he say though? That was really funny.
Well, it was like that. Enough out of you. I got a fresh one. For
I
you.
got a fresh one coming. Oh, I can't believe how continuously funny he was, and it didn't feel out of tone or out of place with the movie. It worked so well. God, I cannot believe how well, as soon as they removed George Lucas, and you know how much care was put into this. I know we've said this before, but it really feels like people that are making these movies now are people like us that grew up with them and cared about them so much, because 7 felt like Star Wars again, although it was a continuation, so 30 years down the future. This felt just like it could have taken place side by side, A New Hope, and it didn't feel too futuristic. I mean, did you see the screen where they have in the Death Star, how it kind of looked old school, and they did that on purpose?
Yeah.
But it still fit. It still fit with everything. But I tell you what, I can't believe how Disney's making this look so easy. And we all know that it can't be, but they are making this look so easy. I am so pumped for the standalone movies. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure 8's going to be awesome. I like the future ones. I like this one better than 7. It just gave me more goosebumps, probably for different reasons. But I mean, just the tie-ins, and this definitely felt like this is going on right during the same era of A New Hope. The Stormtroopers felt like the Stormtroopers from A New Hope. But I tell you what, let's start going through some of the movie. Okay. As far as one of the first things we see with the bad guys, Director Krennic. I don't have the actor's name, but didn't you think he was just an awesome villain?
He fit really well with the Empire, as far as he's got a lot of ambition and a lot of ownership of the Death Star. I mean, he's very
definitely his baby.
He's very selfish with it, even to the point where, and we all know like Governor Tarkin's going to be taking it over, and you see like that's not going to fly with him. He's going to have his little hissy fit. I think I say that he fit into the role of an Imperial officer for really what we kind of hate most about those.
Very imperialistic want, self-promotion,
that kind of thing. So it's very easy to hate this man. And then to kind of see that, there's really not a lot of either substance or backbone. He was kind of whiny. But again, these are just all traits that really feed into this archetype of an Imperial officer that's just designed to repel us. Yeah. And it does it. I mean, But
he also draws you, like, I loved scenes with him. I was really looking forward to more and more with him. That opening scene where he defines the character with those, what do they call them, Death Troopers, when they're finding Galen Erso. His first couple minutes of acting, playing this director, I'm like, yes! Oh, it's not a throwaway bad guy villain. Just we're bad. They're putting substance behind this. I just loved him as a villain. His experience with Vader, his back and forth with him, felt so right. I don't know. I just loved what he did with that. What do you think?
I thought it was great. I mean, I guess the thing I liked about him the best was when, I can't remember the name of it, when they're on the planet where they're getting the plans for the Death Star. And then he just takes control of that room.
Oh yeah.
He's like, the explosions start going off, and then he just takes control.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because I guess he is like a military director for the Empire, but that's not his station. I mean, Scarif isn't his location, but he is
the ranking officer that.
And he owns it. When he goes in there, he's pissed, he's angry, and he just starts taking control as you would expect a guy like that.
Great villain, and they did it so well. that I know we talked before with our predictions and our hopes for this movie that we wanted to see Vader, but we wanted sprinklings of him. We didn't want him overused where he would just basically take over and you don't care about the other villains. They nailed that perfect. We got, and Dan, you're right, all the scenes we did get with Vader were like just, not just fan moments that were just good for the fans. They had a reason to be in there. You know, there was a reason that added tension to the end. Because, I mean, they could have just had an ending with the heroes just giving up their lives in a moment to barely get the plans out there. But adding that addendum of Darth Vader just going through the gauntlet. I should have called it a reverse gauntlet because he's the real one that's just whipping them out. And getting the plans to Leia. I mean, that was an ending with the word hope. That should be too cheesy to work. But it worked. I had goosebumps. I was like giggling inside. God, I shouldn't be putting that on the internet. But, you know, I thought that was awesome.
Like a little girl.
Oh, God, that was so cool.
I was laughing for a different reason when I saw Leia.
Well, CGI.
The CGI, I know that you said that you didn't want to see her at all in this movie.
I can't believe we
what
did.
Flashed in my head.
And
then I also got to thinking, I'm like, that's the second time we've seen Carrie Fisher with fake teeth.
Didn't think about it. Well, I tell you what, because this actually leads into our next part. You and I, and a lot of us will see that with Leia and with Tarkin, and we'll know it's CGI. But I tell you what, it's getting so good that I think your average moviegoer wouldn't know.
Tarkin looked awesome.
Oh my God. I can't believe that we got Tarkin and not just a little. We got a lot of Tarkin. And it looked just like him. Like there was times that I was trying to think, no, yeah, of course that's CGI. I mean, but is the whole character CGI or is it just the I mean, it was so well, I was looking and I couldn't really pick it out. So unless we obviously know it was, but I think, again, it was done so well for your average moviegoer. Oh, God. I was geeking out that we had that.
Yeah, I mean, the way that they were able to kind of capture his entire image. One thing that did kind of throw me a little bit, I think they made him a bit taller than he actually was. When he's talking to some of his officers, it looks like he's got to go about maybe 3 or 4 inches that I don't think he should.
Really?
But yeah, the fact that they were able to capture his presence as well as incorporate his dialogue for him, and that and just being able to use those tools. Tarkin was the greatest example of that.
Yeah.
Obviously, Carrie Fisher as Leia, and then also Red and Gold Squadron members.
Yeah, having the footage from the guys from A New Hope in there, and it worked, and it makes so much sense because you're about to see them in a few days in New Hope. God, I did not expect
dawn
that.
on me. That didn't dawn on me until it was happening that they were going to do that. But it just worked so well. I mean, the natural. I mean, those people are there. They didn't just show up for that battle to go after the Death Star.
Right.
So, but that didn't even dawn on me that Red Leader was going to be in there. It's just in so many of those same things.
Yeah. Oh, and man, how good was having Bail Organa in there? Like that worked so well because when the way that they worked it into it, basically the movie ends right as 4 opens, which I'm still geeking out over. I can't wait to watch 4 again now. I want to go see that, and then I want to watch 4 right away. I never said that about the prequels, but this was that freaking awesome. But the way that they had Bail talk to Mon Mothma about getting your old Jedi friend, that you helped after the purge, he's been in hiding. We need to get some information to him, request him. I trust you with my life. That could have been so cheesy and fan servicey, but it worked. Man, it just made sense. It flowed. So I can't believe what a Hail Mary they threw at this, where all these things working together. You'd think there'd be at least 2 or 3 or 4 that were like, I can see why they tried that. We'd want that as fans, but the rest was really good. No, like almost every single point in this was done to perfection. I still can't believe this. But anyway, Tarkin I thought was really good. Did you think that the CGI was very noticeable? I thought it was really well blended in.
Really well done.
The only scene with me that I noticed the CGI more than anything is after he talks initially when you first see him, and then he's looking in the window, or looking out the window at the Death Star from, and you can see his reflection.
Right.
In that moment, to me, it was like, you haven't quite perfected the reflection aspect of it.
Right.
Yeah. But otherwise, I mean, it was done really well.
Yeah.
Again, noticeable, but done really well. I mean,
Yep. I loved all the little stuff that they add. Like, I know those weren't AT-ATs, they were AT-CTs, I think, like something transport for troopers or whatever. The setting on this tropical planet before we even get there, because I got to go into this. How cool is it that when director Krennic went to go talk to Vader, that they were doing it at the Citadel, which takes place in the Clone Wars. That is a big, huge, that's a big, 3 to 4 episode arc, I think it is. And that Citadel was actually designed for when Jedi go bad, so it is a very intensive, hard place to break into, hard place to get anybody. It's designed to hold Jedi, and that's where Vader's stronghold. And we saw Vader basically taking a bath.
Well, that's one of the things too. We'd never seen Vader like that before. And we saw Luke like that at the end of Jedi, or not Jedi, the end of Empire, where he's in the top. But I mean, seeing Vader like that, and then seeing the missing limbs, I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, I can't. Again, that when you describe this to someone, that shouldn't work, but it was awesome. And then his entrance in and hearing James Earl Jones' voice. But I thought that was really cool, the Citadel. I remember as soon as that popped up, I'm going over to him, I'm like, is that the Citadel? Is that the Citadel? And I'm actually wondering how many people in the audience even know what that is. But if you've seen the Clone Wars series, that was it's so cool, too, because that arc is really where Anakin and Tarkin meet for the first time. And they start to respect each other because they both agree in more aggressive, do what needs to be done to get the job done. And they really start their friendship in that arc. That was a perfect place to put it in this movie, since they're both in the... Oh, God, that was awesome. So we already talked about the fact that they used actors from the 4th movie. Tropical Planet, I thought that was a really cool setting. What did you guys think of the relationship Jyn Erso, Galen Erso? Oh, by the way, who frickin' called it that he would put in the weakness to the Death Star intentional? Right here, this guy, okay? Right here. Remember that, everybody? Go check it. It's on the frickin' internet. It's on our channel, Fractured Focus. Called it right here. I guess I should say 50% called it, because I thought he put the exhaust port in on purpose, and now what he actually did is just made it so that if the reactor hit, it would blow up the whole thing, and that's why they needed the plans to find out that you need the exhaust port to get there. So it's still kind of 50-50 right there, but in your face, internet. I fucking knew it. Well, I didn't know it, but I hoped. And man, that paid off. But what did you guys think of Galen and Jyn Erso? I thought they were awesome.
Really good. Honestly, I would have liked to have seen Mads show up a little bit more in the movie. He did really well for the scenes that he was in, but for the range that he's got and what he can do with a role, I don't think he was as fully utilized as he probably could have been.
Right.
I mean, we have a guy. I mean, he was able to provide enough exposition for explaining in a hologram to his daughter, like, listen, here's kind of what I had to do. I had to essentially, take on this persona of a beaten dog just so I could kind of do this. I mean, that was very compelling. I think I think there was a lot of depth to him that we just didn't really get to see. And again, that would have been difficult to do because there was already a lot there to work with.
Right.
But again, I was pleased to see him for what I did. I would have liked to have seen him more.
Yeah, he's a good actor and everything. But what do you think, Urso's?
No, in regards to it, I thought that was great. The initial scene on the planet, and then his explanation. I mean, it's like the undercover rebel the whole time. Yep. I thought it was great.
Yeah. God, the way they tied it. And I tell you what, getting to see the first fledgling rebellion that's come together, that if you've been watching Star Wars Rebels, it's already starting to assemble because they've had separate cells and now they're starting to get organized. So I think Rebels is 2 years before, right now, at the point where we're at, where it's about 2 years before we get to Rogue One. But watching that full assembly with Bail Organa in there, and they had another, what's the squid race with the eyes?
Calamari.
The calamari, yeah. Calamari. Having another captain, which makes sense because why would there only be one? You know what I mean? Of just one race. Having him on there and you almost kind of got to wonder
with those ships.
Say what?
Is that their technology with those ships? Is that why you're seeing them?
I don't know. We'd have to look into that. I'm not sure. But you know what? If they've never used the term rogue, I started thinking about this on the way home. This just adds so much weight to 4. Man, in a way that the prequels never did. In fact, I think the way that prequels kind of ruined some of the shit. Like, I liked Boba Fett a lot more before I found out he was a whiny clone. I don't know. Yeah. He got better in the Clone Wars series. But since they made up the term, their call sign Rogue for this, just on their way out to leave Yavin 4. How cool is that, again, seeing the actual Rebel base from the inside and everything. But leaving without permission... that never been used. There is no rogue. They specifically say that in the movie, and we know by episode 4 they have rogue squadrons. So you know that they're doing that to pay homage to this group that risked everything and sacrificed a hell of a lot. How cool is that, watching two Star Destroyers crash into each other and destroy that? Oh,
yeah, you see like the decapitation of one.
Yeah.
all together. Excuse me. Yeah, the entire space sequence of orbiting Scarif was incredible. I mean, it's seeing and Lucas wasn't able to do this in the original trilogy, even though those sequences were amazing too. I believe he took a lot of design from World War II fighter footage.
Used them to make the first animatic.
Yeah, yeah. And this time we're able to incorporate different kind of perspectives. And particularly the first-person view.
Yeah,
there was a few scenes in there where you're actually almost on the wing of the X-wing as it's circling through the shield gate, and you're able to. And the way that they were able to incorporate all this action going on without overloading us with what this thing could be. And a good contrast to that would be the intro scene in Revenge of the Sith. When Obi-Wan and Anakin are flying in. I mean, again, it's kind of the same thing. It was the first time you really got to see something on that scale. But there was a lot of noise in there, too, as far as design goes. This time, you're able to see essentially what is a good-sized portion of a Rebel fleet, as well as squaring off against two Star Destroyers and a shield gate that apparently has about 75 to 100 different TIE fighters that all come out at once in this massive swarm. But you're not feeling overwhelmed by this.
Right.
You're able to see a lot of action, a lot of ships getting shot down, a lot of maneuvers being done, but it's fed to us in a way where we can digest it.
Yeah, we didn't feel overwhelmed.
Yeah. I mean, you can, and how often was it that you saw squads of like 3 or 4 ships, maybe like zipping along the side of a Star Destroyer up to knocking out one of the bulbs, or 3 or 4 ships going around the shield generator, or the bombing runs that are done. It was piecemealed enough where I was able to really follow everything and really actually take everything in. It's not like I had to focus on 1 or 2 things while all this stuff is going on.
Right.
But yeah, just like I said, the visuals, the way that they were able to show and kind of essentially shoot that kind of footage. I thought that was new. I mean, I haven't really seen something like that before,
right?
Particularly in the Star Wars franchise. So that's my soapbox.
How did you guys feel about the tone? It still felt so Star Wars. Like, this felt like it really was in the world. Man, the score. I love everything about this movie. I would say a good way to sum it up is different and new, but still in the Star Wars universe in a way that the original prequels, never managed to hit. They felt so artificial and forced. This was the complete opposite. This is everything I've ever wanted in a prequel. The score, perfect example there. Different. We didn't really hear the themes that we're used to, or even the main Star Wars theme like at all. Maybe once or twice the traditional fanfare.
Yeah, we did.
But that's about it.
Yeah.
But it worked. It felt like Star Wars. Like that music, the violins, everything felt like Star Wars. Do you guys, a lot of the reviews, what people are saying is the movie's amazing. It's very dark. It's a war movie. And I totally agree with that. I mean, when you see the explosions and you're in there with the guerrilla warfare with all the stuff going on, I can definitely say it veers more towards that war movie aspect, but not so much that it didn't feel like a Star Wars movie that would fit right in with everything else. Would you guys agree with that?
To me, this movie brought in Battlefront.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I mean, especially with like when they're on the planet and there's the warfare. I mean, it just totally reminded me of Star Wars Battlefront.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I loved that. I mean, that was one of those visuals to me that was just awesome. And then, to your point, when he kind of decapitates that Star Destroyer by pushing the other ship into it, that scene right there was phenomenal. Now, there was a scene at the beginning when they had a Star Destroyer in front of the Death Star, and I'm like, is that a model?
Right.
And I know it's not. They probably didn't use models, but in that moment, to me, it looked like a model because the lighting just wasn't right.
Right. I think they did that on purpose to show. Yeah, I think they did that on purpose to show scale, and I think that's kind of the way a lot of us remember A New Hope. Is those Star Destroyers are big white things. I mean, yeah, they might have overdone it, but man, when you're watching how big that thing is, and you're seeing how tiny those Star Destroyers was, oh God, I just think they had. How do you guys feel about the way that they handled the Force and Jeddah?
I'm still trying to gauge the blind monk's connection as far as him being able to tap. I understand the character design of the blind swordsman and how they're able to how they have. I mean, we all love Daredevil. But the idea that you kind of have these, not, I wouldn't even call them pseudo Jedi, just respecters of the Force, protectors of the Temple. But I just couldn't wrap my, to me it was difficult to try to gauge, all right, well, how much of a connection do they actually have to it? Because, they're
kind of intentionally vague on it.
Yeah, I mean, when you see that he's actually using his physical senses when he first squares off against that crew of stormtroopers, and he's listening, and you're hearing like all the different sounds, and he's able to, avoid blaster shots and gauge where guys are and hit them at just the right times. But I like the fact that they didn't go full-on Force powers, which I know they wanted to avoid.
Because they kind of made it clear, like, I know it's going to seem like this guy's amazing, but he is not a Jedi. He is not Force-sensitive.
I think he was Force-sensitive.
Yeah, and I think that was it, is trying to gauge, like, well, how far on the spectrum does this guy go?
Well, what the story group has said is, Dave Filoni has said this at interviews before, he goes, a lot of the stuff and the juxtaposition of the Force kind of mirrors life in everything. That the Force goes through everything. Every living creature, it binds the energy together. We flow through it. Some people are just more sensitive than others. So when you have someone that's like just amazing talent at like basketball or something like that, that's just something where maybe they're able to channel it a little bit more. So I'm assuming from this monk, a guy that was worshiping the religious aspect of the Force, not a Jedi, but maybe had a little bit of a tone or a touch of it, a little bit stronger than the average person. But I think that because they were showing the senses being used so much, they were really trying to show, well, this is kind of like a Buddhist monk that does these amazing things you can't believe they can do, which is kind of what the epitome of a normal person is. But maybe, I agree. I think that there's some vague insinuation that he might have a little bit of Force in him. Because my takeaway is that he doesn't. He just worshipped it. He would just keep talking about it and saying stuff, but...
So I have to disagree, though, because the introduction of that character, he can sense that kyber crystal being around her neck.
That's true. That's true.
So whether he's Force sensitive as a warrior, he's at least Force sensitive as far as a protector of, of those crystals.
Yeah, there's no other explanation for that. You're right.
So he has to be able to detect those. And maybe it's because he's been around them his whole life and he's a protector of them. Mm-hmm. But he knew that necklace was around her neck.
Yep, you're right.
So... to say he's not Force sensitive, I think it's wrong.
Yeah, you're right. No, I take that back, because otherwise that doesn't make any sense. He's got to have some kind of element in there too. What do you guys think about? The use of kyber crystals?
Oh yeah, I called that one, motherfucker. Yeah. Oh yeah,
that was so cool. The quick with not too much. It's what the Jedi's use for lightsabers. Because again, they touched on this in the Clone Wars series too. But never finished the episode because it got canceled so they could start Rebels when Disney bought Lucasfilm. But they did have the pre-animation up, so you can actually watch the episodes in raw form, where they were actually well, he wasn't the Emperor at that time. Chancellor Palpatine was found and mining very large kyber crystals that were like the size of a bus.
Mm-hmm. But are they only present on Jedha?
No, they're on other planets as well. I mean, the main planet that they would take younglings to go get their lightsabers was Ilum.
Yeah.
And that was because it was a huge like ice planet, and where they would go get them in a cave, they look just like ice to everybody else. It's kind of like nature protecting itself even as a defense mechanism.
Even to each other.
Yeah.
Only the person
exactly.
Only the person that can actually has a connection to a specific crystal can see that crystal.
It's not just ice. Like I see a color or all that type of stuff too. But they've said specifically, no, that's not the only place kyber crystals, are, which is why they've been what they mined Jedha for it, I guess, from the temple and some other places too. But oh my God, that was so cool watching that gun get put into. Yeah, but you guys, are we happy with the way that they dealt with the lack of Jedi or the Force? I know that's something that we were talking about before. We were nervous, like how's this going to play into? Do people even know who Jedi is? I think that they hit that perfect line again. I mean, it wasn't talked about all the time, but obviously the whole rebellion knows that Jedi existed at some point, so it wasn't talked about a lot. There wasn't people all over the place like Jedi, but they did bring up the fact that they knew it existed, and there aren't any left. They specifically said that in the movie as well too. But I thought that the way that they handled it from the religious aspect was perfect.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know that at first I was kind of concerned with their whole use of the Force and talking about it and stuff like that without having Jedi. But I thought they did it well.
Yeah,
it wasn't oversaturated. They didn't leave anything out there missing. The only thing, so that scene where it's like my old Jedi friend, it was like I almost wanted him to say Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
But were they talking about Obi-Wan? Were they talking about
they were talking
Yoda?
about Obi-Wan.
Were they talking? I mean,
you fucking know they were talking about Obi-Wan. That's the whole point of the thing. When he gives it and says I trust my daughter.
They got on the third movie when they left, it was Obi-Wan and Yoda were both on that.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
When he didn't, yeah.
But he specifically says, "I'm going to send my daughter." And
They
where's their
both been
daughter go
hiding.
to get? Is General Kenobi.
He never said daughter. He said, I
I trust her with my life.
That her could be anybody. Her
Okay,
could be
you're
anybody.
right.
Could've
Technically,
been
it's
another
fucking
female
possible.
Jedi.
You guys are both full of
Bail
shit. You know
Organa's got a
goddamn well
mistress.
that was about Leia going to see Obi-Wan Kenobi. Anybody watching this, tell them that they're fucking bullshit. They're just trying to start a fight. I goddamn know. We know what that was for. Oh, God, I love the way that
I
it's
am our
tied in.
first troll.
Yeah, agree to disagree.
Well, I tell you what, for the first spin-off that's not technically in an episodic, saga film, this is one of my favorite Star Wars movies out there. I mean, this was just so well done. Now, don't get me wrong. This movie wouldn't be as good as if we didn't have the original trilogy that we've loved for so much. I mean, that really added to it. So if this was watched before any of that other stuff, a lot of stuff wouldn't make sense. It's kind of like Empire. Empire doesn't make any sense without A New Hope. And this movie is made a lot better, the fact that we've already seen the classic trilogy. But man, watching this now, again, this is just a prequel that if we could have had these instead of episode 1, 2, and 3 at this level.
Like we know how it ends, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So why bother
I mean,
seeing
I
it?
guess in regards to it, I mean, if we're gonna spoil it, let's spoil it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody dies.
Yeah.
That I was surprised about, and I loved that they did it.
They did it well. It added a lot of weight to it.
Yeah. I mean,
But I know we talked about it, and you're like, I think some people are gonna live. But when you think about it, nobody could have survived that and not shown up in A New Hope.
Right.
Those people are war heroes if they survive.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's no way you can keep them out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about the few people that did make it out. I don't know the pilot's name, but Red
Gold
One.
Leaders.
Yep.
Yeah. So they obviously made it out. They made the next movie, or the next movie was made, then they were in this one. But yeah, if any of those people would have made it out, they'd have had to have had a role, and probably a pretty predominant or pretty big role in the New Hope.
Sure. Unless, and I'm just spitballing here, troll. If you take into account the time frame from when that blast went off, now I'm totally going to discount the fact that both Cassian and Jin were swallowed up in that blast radius.
Yeah.
I mean,
They did like a deep
no
impact.
shelter. They're on a friggin' beach.
Yeah.
There is nothing there. However, for whatever Deus Ex Machina that some people survived, might not have shown up directly in New Hope, given the limited time frame from when this one ended and the next one began. Because if you're following it as far as, because you're looking at how many days was it from when Leia takes off on the freighter and gets to Tatooine from when they do their assault on the Death Star. There was not a lot of turnaround time as far as when that happened. There was one day on Tatooine when Luke gets the droids. There was another, not even like a full day before they're even on the Death Star.
Well, that, and even if you throw out the time element, you can write an infinite number of reasons. So I mean, look at Rex and the 501st one in Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Say what?
If they jump to light speed, you still have to find them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it wasn't like hours later. The whole aspect that they launch from that, they get out of there, jump to light speed or whatever. That's ta-da, that's the end. The fact that it opens up in 4, and it's like you're a rebel and a spy. I mean, honestly, like you couldn't segue better.
I know.
Into New Hope.
God, it just added so much. Again, we could have had Vader fan service just to have it for fun, but it added to the story in a big way. It made this, evacuation so strong and tense. And man, the people that sacrificed, did they sacrifice for nothing? Because Vader's about to tear through this stuff, and they barely get out in the nick of time with this. Oh my God, I love this movie.
It does make Leia's excuse on A New Hope when she first gets boarded kind of weak.
It
Where
does.
it's like,
It really
I
does.
saw you leave the planet where the planes were stolen from.
you know what?
Out of the capital ship of the assault team.
She doesn't know that Vader saw her get away, though.
yeah, I know.
So it does make sense.
I know, but
just thinking about it now and just like, oh, girl, that is so weak. That is so
Because he knows, because he saw your ship go away. Yeah.
I could
bitch,
smell
I
your
was
stench
there.
the moment you got on board.
Oh, God. I tell you what, my faith in what Disney is doing with so much care with Star Wars. I know we even joked around about them giving too much away. Man, there was so much that we had no idea was coming in this movie. They handled it perfectly. I'm so excited now for the Han Solo standalone movie. We don't know what the third one's going to be that they've announced that they're going to do yet. What would you guys like to see, knowing if it's going to be as good as this, but in a different, characters, different center? Do you think that it might be an Obi-Wan movie? What do you guys think?
I'm hoping for a standalone R2-D2 movie.
Jesus.
Yeah.
The college years.
Yeah.
He went to Arizona State.
Yeah. I'd like to find out
Go
that
Wildcats.
R2 is just as mouthy as that other, as the other robot.
K2SO.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, Alan was
But
really
you just
good
don't
at that.
understand him. He's an asshole too, but you just don't understand him.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, if they're going to do this level of quality that works so well in the universe, I'd love to see a Boba Fett movie where they could restore some credibility to that character and make him back to the badass that we remember from the original trilogy before they made him a whiny, clone. Just something to give him. I mean, again, it got better in the Clone Wars when you kind of watched him. I just don't like that. God, I cannot get that scene out of my head where he's picking up his dead dad's head and just putting his head up against it. I'm like, it's just weird. I just don't think that works. I'd like to see a Boba Fett movie. I'd love to see an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie. In fact, Ewan McGregor is the age now, kind of the perfect age to play sometime between 3 and 4.
Sure.
Maybe that would even give us some backstory if he ends up being Rey's father. It's a possibility. We don't know who Rey's parents are. And he did have the romantic relationship with Satine on Mandalore.
True.
I don't think it's Obi-Wan.
You think it's Luke?
More likely.
How would that work?
Yeah, I know.
How would she not
Just
remember?
age-wise.
Because do you know how old Obi-Wan would have to be?
Yeah,
He'd
you're
have
right.
to come back as a Force ghost
Yeah,
and
that's not
impregnate
doable.
her mother.
Yeah. It was the Holy
And then we got a
Ghost.
whole new set of movies that George Lucas is probably going to produce.
I'm just trying to think how Luke could be the father and Rey would not remember that unless he fathered her, but he was never around in her life. You know what? Every time someone said that last night. We have
This
never
isn't
in
the father
Star Wars
you're looking
mythology
for.
see someone erase someone's memory. That has never freaking
Well, it
happened.
depends on which version you're looking at, because they did it. That was actually the
In canon.
Well, yeah.
Canon now.
In canon
I think
now.
I don't know. I just think that's too. And it's not impossible. I just think that's too much of a stretch for what we've seen. That's too much of expecting the audience to just accept that.
Did we
I guess
see Snoke?
that Snoke's the parent.
Snoke
No,
was-
did we see Snoke in this movie?
No. Well, I mean, if
Well,
we
think
did,
we
we
saw
wouldn't
him?
know.
Yeah, we don't know his backstory. I still think Snoke is Ezra from Rebels, but that could be wrong too. We really don't know.
Could be Grand Moff Tarkin.
He's crazy
He somehow
old.
survived the
Crazy
Death Star
old.
exploding.
Somehow, yeah.
Uh-huh.
In our moment of victory.
Well, I tell you what, because we could talk Star Wars all night. I love this movie. I'm probably definitely going to see it again. We'll have to take Alex, but I cannot wait. I'm probably going to watch this over and over and over, especially when it comes home on digital. I can't wait for the next
Closing
standalone.
thoughts?
Say what?
Closing thoughts?
I'm still coming off of that high from
Gushing.
it. They ended on, the movie was great overall. Tone worked, fit in Star Wars. I like the characters. They did enough with each of them to give them great story. Maybe not like a lot of depth for everybody, but enough that it made the story really good. Seeing the rebellion kind of from the inside as it's knowing what was going on more behind the scenes now when you watch for again makes that even better. But I tell you what, it's just the climax of the movie ended so strong. From the Vader tear-up scene to, regardless of the CGI, I even thought it was good with Leia. Ending on that and her saying just the word hope. God, that was so awesome. What about you guys?
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I'll let you go, Dan.
Oh, thank you. All right.
My closing is more of a question.
All
Okay.
right.
It just didn't get answered.
One thing I liked, and that I really took from the movie, and everyone's already mentioned this before, but just the darkness of the tone of it. What I got from it was that first off, Cassian is one stone cold motherfucker.
Yeah.
He was the fact when he gunned down his informant that we see in the very beginning. He's under orders to pretty much assassinate Jin's father. He doesn't go through with it, but there's like a darkness in this man, and I think that was also kind of represented in the rebellion as a whole. Because if we look at kind of like the original series, the original trilogy, we can see these guys are the underdogs. I mean, they're pretty much they're almost bright. And not so much cheery, but they are literally the good guys. The way that they
acted during this movie kind of cast a little bit of gloom on what they did. As far as, like I said, Cassian's actions, they are kind of brutal, always necessary.
Yeah.
But these guys are not squeaky clean, and even though they're they alluded to it slightly, but they operate as though what we would consider like a terror cell, a terrorist group, and the fact that they know that, they acknowledge it, and it's caused them to make decisions and do things that are almost as bad as the Empire, not as much, but and to kind of see, you know what, these guys are still the guys that I'm rooting for, and the battle on Scarif kind of helped solidify that too, because that really kind of helped reinforce that fact. These are the underdogs really trying to do right. We see it best when everyone's getting their asses kicked, but the fact that we're able to kind of see the Rebel Alliance through this lens that they're not this pure, even solidified group. I mean, there's still like a lot of dissent going on in there. That kind of added an element of depth to it. That kind of said, you know what, this is how the rebellion would actually go. It isn't just everybody going, kind of
stand up against the big oppressors. We can do
almost
it.
like the ending scene in A New Hope, where everyone's just kind of lined up as soldiers, and they're cheering on Luke and Han when they get their medals. It's not that squeaky clean here, guys. It's kind of like no, they have to make a bombing run, where they damn near kill Jin. They they're going on assassination missions
because they actually killed Galen.
Yeah, exactly. And even when Cassian rallies up that small group of troops to go to Scarif with them, and he's listing off, this is what these guys do. They're spies, they're saboteurs, they kill people, and what's keeping us going is knowing that what we're doing isn't just going to evaporate. Like everyone in that room, the leaders were saying, we're just going to throw in the towel. That's not acceptable to us.
Right.
And that's kind of adds, like I said, it adds this feeling of like almost desperation as far as freedom fighters that are very almost on the edge.
It gives Cassian a lot of cool character depth. That what that makes me think of that didn't occur to me just now. They could have the speech he gave that you were talking about was great, talking about the bad stuff that we've had to do for this reason. Let's go ahead and do what we need to do. But what I think really kind of makes that point come across is, you're right, the opening scene where he guns the guy down. They could have very easily just taken that scene out to play it safe and do a bullshit Greedo shot first crap. But they didn't. They had the balls to stick with it and say, no, look, this guy isn't just all good. He's doing some bad stuff, maybe for a good reason, exactly what you're talking about. And they did it. Another perfect reason, when you take George's hands off of this, great storyteller, genius, he really is. But man, Han shot first. And this is a perfect example of when true Star Wars fans get their hands and get to make this from the ground up. You can have some gray area. That's okay. And I like this. Yeah, that was a really good point.
Yeah.
How about you?
Bring it home, Matt. What do you got for us?
I love the movie. Tone, pace, all of it was great. There was never a lull.
No, there wasn't.
I mean, and cinematically, I thought it was great. I mean, there was great shots. It was really well done. The story, it brought everything to A New Hope. So I mean, and nowhere did it fall flat.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought a tremendous movie, and I might be with you. This might be my new favorite. I mean, I like The Force Awakens. I like the originals. Force Awakens was a story retold. This was one of them that's completely original.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard this story, but I love to see this story to know what it takes me into. So I guess the question I have rattling around in my head, and it's not necessarily from the movie. This is from A New Hope. I kind of wish I would have gotten somewhat of an answer from it. Is Vader really sold on the Death Star?
No,
because even in the fourth movie, he's like, it doesn't matter what your Death Star does. It doesn't hold
it's trivial compared to the Force. And he even basically tells the director, "You're a little bitch. You realize how much problems you have? This thing better be great." So clearly, his opinion is, okay, it's a tool we got, but this isn't the end-all be-all, guys. The Force is, I am the Emperor, we're Sith. No, so I completely agree with you.
Just don't disappoint the Emperor, because I don't want to have to choke you.
Yeah.
Maybe I
or force choke you again.
Yep. Oh, God.
Maybe that's why you let it blow up. Oh, yeah, no, Han shot me out of the trench.
Uh-oh.
That's what happened.
If that's the case, then he was really going down the gauntlet just for fun, because tell you what, That was one
It's
of the
weird that he could fly that TIE fighter. all the way
most
home.
badass scenes.
Like,
they-
yeah, you know, it happened.
hearing him breathing, and you don't see him, and then his igniting his lightsaber. And then I thought they were literally just going to show boom, boom, and a couple swipes. No,
Yeah, no, he
they
mowed
show
through
it.
them.
They show a lot. I've been talking money shots all over the place for Vader. So, oh well, I don't have anything else to add. I'm still in the high. I'm excited to go see this again. Is there anything else you guys want to add? We good?
Go see it again.
Yeah, go see it again and enjoy the tsunami wave of dirt and soil that is on the moon of Jeddah when you see the Death Star fire for the first time. You see that thing, that's at least like a mile high.
Yeah.
That's what happens when it's not
More than that. Remember, it was going into
More-
space.
it was
That
in
was
the
into the
atmosphere, yeah.
stratosphere. That
Yeah.
was like,
But when you just kind of see it just kind of it's full on wave. They weren't even trying to mask what that thing was. But it's not, this ain't water. This is falling rocks, falling everything. Woo!
Oh, God, that was good. Ladies and gentlemen, hopefully if you're watching this, you've already seen this movie and it was not spoiled for you during our startling conversation here. But what did you think? Was this movie everything that you ever wanted and more? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share with your friends, and don't forget you can watch regular episodes of Fracture Focus where we post a topic of the day each day of the week, Monday through Thursday, and try to entertain you with our semi-witty banter and our incessant rambling. If you guys can think of a good Rogue One send-off to make, now's the time.
I would.
I'm just going to say Vader money shot.
I'm too into Super Mario Run right now. So
Yeah, that's true. We're going to have to do a...
save that for later.
Yeah, we're going to have to do a review on that one too. Yeah, stay tuned on that for the internet. Go watch this movie. If you've already seen it, go see it again because it's that fucking good. Cool. Until next time, internet.